Hey guys, Daily here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Labyrinth deck I took to the 3v3 Star Charity in Minneapolis. It's a charity cash tournament that we do every couple of months here. This one was the 3v3. My team ended up getting 5th out of a top 4 out of 22 people. I ended up going 4-1. My other teammate ended up going 4-1. But one of our teammates wasn't able to play the deck he wanted to, and he was forced to play Sword Slow, which he hadn't practiced, and unfortunately he went 1-4. So we did do pretty well overall. Getting 5th isn't too bad. The only person I lost to was one of my other fellow team members, Joe Dietrich, and that's not a bad loss. No complaints here. Performed pretty well, and yeah, I really enjoy this deck. I think it's really solid too. No complaints. I think I had some ratio changes to make, but I only want to swap about 4 cards. So yeah, let's get into it, and I'll give you guys kind of a rundown on how the cards work and the interactions in it. So to start off with, we play 3 Arianes. This is your searcher. This one's effect is that it just searches one Labyrinth card from the deck, so it lets you access anything. Along with that, it can, when you activate a trap card that removes a monster from the field, you can draw a card. So the idea is that you try to use this, plus this one, which also has that same effect, to just gain a bunch of advantage while activating your trap cards. And yeah, it's very efficient at doing so. The other effect on this one is the other one. This one can special summon her or any level 4 lower fiend from your deck. So it allows you to grab her, which then searches, and then you're able to make a leap play, or you just leave them on board and you're able to go +2 off every time you remove them, like when you remove a monster from the field. And then you have a trap card that summons these from the deck. The other card you play is Lovely. This is your boss monster. This one's effect is that you can set one trap card from your graveyard on your turn, any normal trap card, and then it can also, your opponent can't respond to your trap effects with monster activation. So once this is established, your opponent can't respond with their monster effects, meaning like all your trap cards will just hit stuff really efficiently. And then it can also, when a monster is removed from the field by card effect, you can destroy one card in your opponent's hand or on the field, non-targeting. So just really, this is your way to remove threats. The nice thing about this deck too is even if these leave the field, you're going to be bringing them back with your field spell, because every time you activate a trap card, the field spell summons them back. So you don't really have to play a huge Labyrinth count, because you're just going to be recurring them all the time. And so I don't have to worry about that. So the last Labyrinth I actually played was this one. This is Chandelier. Its fact is you can discard one card, set one Labyrinth spell or trap from your deck. You can discard it plus one spell or trap card from your hand, or send this from the field. So they'll but the nice thing about this card is this card gives you free advantage every turn. It's really nice for making link plays. Because it's going to put itself back to the hand whenever you activate a trap card. So you're just able to get this back, and then you're able to just get this card back almost every turn and just use it for free resources, like for pitching or for using for links or exploits afterwards, which is super nice. Obviously, the -1 does suck, but there is some ways to kind of cancel that out. But yeah, this is our whole ratios. You do need to play quite a few, or this is the most I felt comfortable playing, because I think the rest are kind of garbage. And they're cards I don't want to draw, and I don't want to draw multiples of these. This card's really nice because you can summon her from deck, but because you have to send a trap card from your hand and not just a Labyrinth card or something, it does make her quite a bit worse, because I'm sending an interaction to put this out, but I'm also making myself weak to Impermanent Veiler a lot more than this otherwise would be. So yeah, I think this is the correct ratio for monsters until we get our new one in Darkwing Blast. So yeah, 6 monsters. Felt pretty good about that. I don't think there's anything. I don't think I would change the lineup. For the other monsters we play 3 Absolute Fiend Backjacks. This is a fiend. You can summon it from the deck with the Ariane. You can send it with Chandelier to trigger. But a lot of times, I would just make. If I didn't draw anything else, I would just make Link Rebo, and yeah, we just go with that. One of the benefits to this deck too is that because you play this, you can search for Chandelier, send the Backjack, and then you can just set the. If you draw both of them, they're your normal summons, you can just set the Backjack, and then you can just set a trap card. So you just do the same thing. You have to trigger your Backjack, and you have to look at the top 3, and now you have access. Now you have basically a pot of duality that sets a trap on your opponent's turn, which makes you even less weak to Feather Duster and stuff. I really like this card. I think I'm gonna cut it down to 2, but definitely really solid. Really came up a lot for me for how much I resolved it. Definitely one of the MVPs of the day. And then the last monster we play, Double Ecclesia. This just searches for punishment, and then we play the 3 Nadirs to go with it. Nadir is insane. I don't think I would play this if Brewer wasn't out. But because this just turns into an upstart goblin by itself, but it also grabs this, essentially an engage that gets you to punishment or just gets you follow up with this. The only change I would make is I think I only play 1 Ecclesia and I play on the floor. It makes it a little bit worse because now you're weak to if you draw the Ecclesia and the Nadir, you won't get your draw. It is annoying, but it is not that big of a deal either at the same time, because you can send it with Chandelier or whatever. but I think it's correct because like Fleur would have come up a lot. There's a lot of times where I wish I could have grabbed Fleur, especially versus tier, but it wasn't. I don't think it's like that huge of a deal. I felt like 2 was pretty good too. So just the only change I would make is just swapping them. From there, double Labyrinth, Labyrinth. This is your field spell. When you activate a welcome Labyrinth, this you get it gains the effect that it's destroy monsters. So like the idea is that you put the field spell out, and then you activate the trap. The trap summons these guys from deck. They hit the board, and then it pops a card, which then triggers their effect to either draw, or in the case of your lovely, to pop another card on the field. So like that's the synergy. This also, every time you activate a trap, you can summon a fiend from your graveyard. So like the idea was that like you would just get these guys back, or you could get back your links and everything. It's just really nice in terms of like how consistent it was about just gaining you a ton of advantage. Essentially, if like Labyrinth stays up, you're probably winning the game. And then last card was 1 mine. I played Metaverse. My logic was like mine is super strong. I don't like it in this deck particularly because like you're trying to interact with your opponent. You're not going to win off just like getting mine out. But the fact that it does just shut off your opponent if like you're in a bad spot and you just Metaverse it, it's pretty nice. And you run Metaverse anyways because like getting your Labyrinth from the deck is super huge. From after that, for our traps, we played 3 strike for Utopian Aura. These were kind of doing the same role. The idea was that if I was going second and my opponent was trying to like use their negates to stop my traps, this would just get rid of them. The other nice thing is that versus tier specifically, you could banish your Chandelier or like an Ecclesia, and then take the tier monster, and now it's your like beater to play with, and I can't really use it for anything. And it also need other effects, so it doesn't trigger it. And then Strike stops the grave effects and also stop hands. So they essentially are for the same purpose, but they have a little bit different utility. I'd probably just play 2 Draco in the future. I think that's probably more correct. And then for our generic traps, triple Compulse. Compulse is insane. It's probably the best generic trap card in the game right now, just because it's just so versatile. I can use it on my own guys, which has come up for me. To like, I definitely like one guy was Dino Mistress target my lovely Labyrinth, and then I compulsed it back to my hand, which just made it so I didn't lose her, and then I was able to just special summon her again off of Ariana effect because they all trigger off of just a monster leaving. It doesn't have to be your opponent's, so you're able to compulse and get the triggers. I also think I bounced an Ecclesia one time, which got me a draw too, and then I also got to use Ecclesia again. Super insane. After that, 3 Fair Welcome Labyrinths. This is your main trap card, and then you also play. I also play the 1 Fair Welcome Labyrinth. So you play Welcome and Fair Welcome, just they count as the same thing for the field spell. So Welcome Labyrinth will special summon 1 from the deck, and then if you activate a non-Labyrinth trap card, it sets itself, just not the same turn it was sent. But it still, you can still use both effects. So a lot of times there's times where I would go like activate Fair Welcome Labyrinth, and then I'd have 1 in my graveyard, and then I'd compulse their guy, and I would set it again. You can still use both effects, just you can't use it the same turn it was sent to the graveyard, so it has to be a different copy. So the idea is like you just snowball advantage off like this coming back a lot, and then this also becomes a pop with the field spell. So you're able to just like, this is an out to mine that also that's just like inherently integral to your strategy, which is super nice. It makes this deck not weak to mine at all or like generic floodgates. And then 1 Fair Welcome Labyrinth. This is like the tech choice. If you control a fiend monster, when a monster declares unattackable, you control a fiend monster. You target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it, and then you can set 1 of any trap from your deck. So it was just another target for the Labyrinth traps, because I didn't want to run anything else. And there was a couple times where it came up that I just didn't want to search welcome. I already had my welcomes like rolling, so I didn't want to search another one. And I thought that was just like the most like viable card to play. There's a couple other ones you can try, but I feel like the Labyrinth Barrage is a little overrated unless you're like trying to cheese people with burn, which is dumb in my opinion. But I think people will be doing that eventually for burn decks. But there's like not a lot of other good traps that like benefit off of it, and like the other rest of the Labyrinth cards are just kind of janky. So I felt like Fair Welcome was like the best choice. And then for traps, obviously a 2 punishment. This is to go with our Ecclesias. I think you play Fleur also, but 2 definitely felt correct in case they wanted to trap trick into it. Double Ice Dragons, arguably the best card. I wish it wasn't a hard once per turn. This was the MVP. Every time I resolved this, I won basically. I think there was a match where I was playing Ice Dragons where I lost. Versus tier specifically, they don't play very many fiends, but your cards are fiends, so you can like grab like one of their beaters from the graveyard, and then banish your Labyrinth monster, and then banish their Kaleidos. Kaleidos, super insane interaction there. Double Dino Mistress. This card's insane. The only problem I had with it is that I don't really have that many cards I want to discard. Chandelier adds itself back to hand at every turn basically, so that like kind of fixes Dino Mistress like being bad. But it still like has the issue, like sometimes it's just like floggy to draw this if you just have a full trap hand. So not terrible. Because you also get Ariana draws, so it's still usually live. It's just like I just wish it. There's a couple times where like I was low on the resource game and I topped it that and I felt bad. One of the spicy techs I had that I'm kind of like I think I'm just gonna side deck these and play Lord instead. This card says if a card effect would destroy one card on the field, you can negate that effect and then send a Fiend to the graveyard, or a level 3 Lord Dart. So the idea was you send Backtrack, and you were able to get a plus off of negating your opponent's card, and it would just like snowball you the game. Which it did every time I resolved it, but there's like multiple times where this card just sat dead on my field, and I didn't really like it. So it's a card I might change, but I still felt like it was pretty fine. Just something to consider. And then the last two cards, we played the one Metaverse. I said grabbing Labyrinth is really good for this deck, because like a lot of people remove it, so you just want to have access to the second one as necessary. And it plays really well on your opponent's turn, so Metaverse obviously, then grab mine is still just dumb. And then one trap trick. This trap trick's the worst trap, but it's any trap, so it's still fine. You just don't want to have more than one, and because you're playing an actual trap deck, it really conflicts if you get stuck on it. From there, we'll go on the sideboard. Yeah, I really didn't want to lose to Eradicator. So like my logic was they're gonna call Eradicator and call Trap on me. So I wanted to say, nope, if you're gonna do that, I'm just gonna punish you for like trying to go to that. So the idea was Shifter is really good against that, because you just shifter them and they like won't be able to get to their EV because they can't Curious, and then Gamma will stop the Griffin. That was like my whole logic behind it. And then my other logic was like mine is the option because it's just generically good going second, but also because I can just beat my opponent through. I can just beat my opponent because I'll just activate mine after they eradicated me for traps, and I'll just sit there until I refill my hand with trap cards. The only problem I thought with this, my logic with that was like if they're just siding spell and trap hit anyways, they're just an out to mine. So I don't think I like mine. I was like nervous siding it a lot of the times. Like if they just, it puts me under like a you better have it situation. I don't like those situations. I like to be like I'm the one in control of the game, so I don't like mine that much. But it is what it is. Double D barrier. Card's insane. There's a specifically like stupid interaction that this deck has with D barrier, and that's that your boss monster can set trap cards again. So one of the situations I had a couple times where I was like, I would D barrier them, I would get this on on my turn, and then I would reset the D barrier, and then I would just D barrier them again, and that was like, you lose the game if you're playing a deck that loses to D barrier, and I did this setup because like that's just end of it. You have to like hand trap my lovely. And if I have Compulse, I just don't care anyways. So yeah, super, super insane. And you also can't respond to the D barrier, so like none of the D barrier outs work. After that, we play Triple Judgment. You just have to. Like fucking Lightning Storm, stupid. You have to have an out for it. Same with Evenly. And then the third Sacrifice. I kind of hate that like Evenly is a card I have to worry about. I did it Evenly a couple times. You can, in theory, play through it fine. Situationally, the way I did it was using my Labyrinth trap card, and then like just getting a dude on board, which feels bad, but it's like one of your ways to deal with it. Or you just like, this was another out to like Evenly and like the trap cards, because like if I'm playing a deck that loses D barrier, which is like almost everything, I just flip D barrier and not lose to it because they skip their turn. So it lets me like less commit to the board if I know I have a card that's just gonna stop them. After that, we'll go into the extract here. We'll go for the fusions first, because obviously I played Link's Fusion XYZs. I played one 5-headed dragon. Well, actually, I just want a big guy. There's probably a better target than this. I couldn't think of any. I just grabbed this like quickly because I needed a 15 card, because I couldn't find an X on night. But I think this is still like pretty good. It didn't come up for me, but I played mostly tiers, and they don't really just summon big guys. There are other decks though where this is relevant. A good example would be like Trains, I guess, is one of them. You just want a big dude to pop their stuff. Obviously, if they make a 43 access code double attacker, it's relevant versus like Salad and Math Mech. But yeah, not super crazy. You don't have to play this. I just like it. Double Rurura. Draw cards insane. Activate Nadir, draw one. Nadir's engaged now. It's stupid. I think I punishment it twice too. Double Natis, popping cards is really nice. Turning your Rhoda into also a popper card that outs like floodgates and stuff is crazy, and obviously punishment pop 2 is good. And then Titaniclad. I don't know if this is mandatory. I really never did it, to be honest. But like the theory behind it in my mind was like good. I was like, okay, sometimes it'll happen where you like have to punishment. I did it like one time I think all day, but with only Ecclesia, it doesn't feel like that great to play the Titaniclad. But since I'm swapping to playing 1/4 also, I think I will be continuing playing this. From there, we'll just go through XYZs quick. Pretty simple. I never made this. I made this like 5 times. This card's really, really good right now. Floodgates on an extra monster is stupid. Yeah, this card's neat. I mean, like, I never made it because it doesn't contribute to like how I want to win the game, because it doesn't let me trigger my effects, but in theory it's good. And also, like, if I played Zeus, which I decided not to last second, It's really good because if I played X-1 Knight, I was playing Zeus. If I didn't play X-1 Knight, I wasn't playing it. Last second inclusion, Dark. Won me a couple of games, so just steal their graveyard. But it's kind of shitty because you lock yourself in the fiend a lot of the time. So not a big deal, but yeah, it can be annoying to just. But like once you're in the late game, especially like when you're grinding to the labyrinths, being able to like resolve this is like so insane because it actually gives you like presence in recovery. Other than that, we also played one Link Triple for Backjack. I did this a lot, really nice. One Nightmare Phoenix, also really nice because it's a fiend, so you can like link away your stuff with it, which is relevant. One Master Arena. To play with that is to go you go Ariane, turn 1 special Ariana, link 2, and then you special summon your Ecclesia. And now you can use that Ecclesia as like an actual material for something. I did it a couple times. It's one of your options. Just if you don't have the Ecclesia, you just put the 2 on board. Otherwise, yeah, just putting the Mastering out and just sitting on it is pretty fine with Ecclesia. And then link 3 Unicorn because we play Masterina. Also, it's a fiend. Abomination because it's a fiend. This card goes hard. If you get it and they can't out it, you win the game because you're just popping like 5 cards per turn. They're gonna run out of resources. Even versus tier, I would just pop so many cards on someone that they just couldn't win the game because even if they make their fusions, this would just keep destroying stuff. So they just would run out of resources. Last card, Underworld Goddess. Launch behind this is like when you masked. If they put out a card you don't want to like pop, you can just take it. Otherwise, you just make Abomination half the time. So yeah, that is the full deck. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.